I enjoyed gardening so much last year that I decided that, of course, I needed to plant another garden for my second season of growing at my new home. And this year went even better than the last. This year, when I was looking for plant starts, I decided to try visiting some of my local growers first to see what they had. So I visited the Kinsey family farm, and they had a few plants that I was very interested in growing. They do more landscaping than vegetable plants, but they still had a couple. They had some tomatoes and then also some pepper plants. So I ended up buying 4 of their tomato starts, and then also what I thought were purple bell pepper starts, but I think they were mislabeled, and we'll get into that a little bit later. I also went to the Catula family farms, and they had a lot of wonderful vegetable starts, and then they also had chickens, and I've been thinking about getting chickens. I haven't done it yet, but maybe next year the garden will also have some chickens, and I'll expand my homesteading dreams, but we'll see.
How many of these do you want?
I think 2.
Uno?
Yeah. Yeah. You got your blueberries! Now, for the things that I could not find at the family farms but still wanted to grow, I visited some of those bigger box stores like Walmart and Home Depot, and they also have a very, very good selection. Even more than I remember there being last year, because I went earlier this year. I really, really tried to plan to make the best garden possible. I learned from some of my mistakes last year.
Well, get done with.
So this one is actually a patio perfect cucumber, and then I found these that look great in raised beds. And I had a problem with the viney part of it last year, but if these are specifically for raised beds, I think that they might actually work out pretty good.
Once I had acquired all the plants that I wanted to plant in my garden, it was then time to head back out to my gardening area and make sure it was ready for planting. I raked the dead leaves, I freshened up the boxes with some new dirt and some fertilizer, and turned them all up in preparation for the new plants that were going to go into them.
We had some really bad freezes this year. It got really, really cold for a few days, and normally it doesn't get below freezing for multiple days without ever getting above freezing. So I was really, really happy when I learned that my lemon balm plant had survived, as well as my mint plant. I thought my mint might. Mint's super hardy, but to see that my lemon balm was still alright was also really good, and also my strawberry plant survived, which I realized in my entire last vlog, my whole last garden vlog, I never talked about my strawberries. But my strawberry plant survived too, so I'm happy those 3 survived. Everything else, I didn't expect to survive, really. They weren't supposed to. I guess you can winter over anything if you really try. For these, I didn't really try. I piled some dead leaves on top of them. But that was about it. My strawberries I did bring in, and I have like a little greenhouse on the deck, so I put those in there because they were in a nice little small container. I think I'm going to repot them though. I think they survived winter and they deserve a bigger pot because they've been growing now. So I went and picked out some new veggies, some to try, some that I did last year, some new ones. And I'm really excited. Last year I was just kind of experimenting with having a garden, and this year I really want to have a lot of veggies to use in my cooking every day. So I bought more plants of certain ones and then less plants of other ones that I didn't like as well, and well, my husband also didn't like, so if neither of us like it, why grow a whole lot of it? But That was mainly the okra. We produced way too much okra last year. That was like the thing that we had the most of. And neither of us liked it all that much. We like it in gumbo, and that's about it. And then some things just didn't grow super well, like the cauliflower. So didn't even get that this year. So I'm excited. Let me show you what I got. Okay, so I think I figured out my garden layout for this year. Still subject to change though, but here we have our Bonnie spinach. It likes shade, so it's going to be over here. We also have our collard greens that also like shade. So I think about half of them are going to go here. Still working on that because I can't fit all of these here. So, but some of them are going to go here. Here I have my one green okra plant. So instead of our whole box that we had last year, now we only have one. Just for like a couple, for a couple things of gumbo, but not too much. Here I have our cucumber. I'm going to replant catnip here. And then we have our heirloom squash. And I believe this is our zucchini. Yes, so we have our squash and zucchini here. Of course, the mint and lemon balm that I've hung on and are doing good are staying where they are. I'm going to put my my German thyme here. And then this is my eggplant. Yes, this is my eggplant. And then I have a lot of bell peppers. Some are going to go here, and some are going to go into our new area. Here are the Brussel sprouts. They also like shade. Because this area, while okay, is a little bit more shady than sunny. And then we also have our tomatoes. So I'm going to put one here, and then I'm going to have a couple more barrels that I'm going to put them in on the deck. So I'm kind of spreading out my garden area, especially for things that need a lot of sun, because there's only so much room here that actually gets sun. I can't go too much that way or too much that way, so it gets too shady. It's really just this corner. I'm not sure what I'm going to put here yet, so still working on that. I have my herb table over here. And I've actually decided I wanted to put so many of my herbs in small pots because I just thought this was too small and they outgrew them so fast, and I want more. I want a lot of herbs. But I still might put some in here just because I love the table. I think it's a great table. So I might put some of the ones that I don't want as much of, like sage or something, in here.
So this garden cart belonged to my grandma. And when she moved, she didn't have a use for it anymore. And I requested that it come to my garden because it's so fun and so handy to sit on, but also my cousins and I figured this out a very, very long time ago. Now it is time to plant.
Of course, we have to have catnip for Lucky and Yo-Yo. And I want a lot of it, so I'm going to put it in one of these larger pots. The kitties are going to be very happy.
This year I decided I wanted to expand my garden. Last year we had bought these boxes that I just didn't have time to get them laid out and to care for such a large garden. It was my first year. I wasn't sure what I was doing really, but this year I feel confident enough to expand and experiment a little bit more. So we got some more of these cinder blocks from the back of our property and propped them up so that I would be able to access them more easily.
So here we have part 2 of the garden. We got these boxes last year, but we only had time to get these 2 kind of going, so I'm excited to have a little bit bigger of a garden, because we were talking about like, yeah, we got stuff last year, but it wasn't like enough to feel like sustainable. It was just kind of like a treat. So I'm trying to go more for like, yes, we have like a garden that will feed us this year. And I feel like we're getting a little closer to that with all of this.
And of course, we still have the herb table just like last year. I absolutely adore my herbs and I love using them in cooking. It is the best feeling in the world to think, yes, this does need some basil, and then I can go outside and clip some and bring it back in for my cooking. I absolutely love it. All right, now that everything is planted, it is time to water everything in. Of course, I had to do some of this myself with a hose. I also did invest in getting a sprinkler, so I did not have to stand out there, but also we let Mother Nature do her work. And with sun and rain and love and care, the garden grew. One of the first things I was able to harvest was some of the catnip. It was growing so well in the spring. Lucky could have cared less. Yo-Yo really does like the catnip. But then I think one of our stray neighborhood cats came and sat on it, and then it didn't do so well. My tomato was also growing really well. I realized that I should have put the cone over it sooner, but alas, here we are. And also, the peppers grew. I thought these were going to be bell peppers, purple bell peppers, but they were not. They were banana peppers, and they were very hot and spicy, and my husband and I do not like them. But they grew really well, so we gave them to a lot of our friends. I was very excited about the squash and zucchini buds though, and also the cucumbers. These were all plants that I was growing for the first time this year, and they were looking pretty good.
These 2 are really close. I don't think they're quite there yet. Not quite. Even though these have gotten so big. I think we're going to get like 3 million squash and zucchini by accident. I'm okay with that, but first, let's get our collard greens. So we're making collard greens tonight. So like they come up and off of the stalk, so like some of the smaller ones on top here, I'll want to leave, but like some of these bigger ones, I'll want to take off.
Doing it.
So look at how big and beautiful it is. But like, see here?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean like that's more that's going to grow? I don't think so, because it
No.
only has like the one big one. Okay. Oh, it already kind of like snapped off.
Yeah, you can just pick them.
I feel like this is quite the harvest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm wearing the appropriate color for them today. So we have a whole basket of collard greens. All of this is just collard greens, and I'm so excited because we're about to eat them for dinner.
One of the first dishes that we made with a harvest from our garden was collard greens. Of course, we live in the South. Collard greens are such a staple in Southern cuisine, but my family hadn't made them a whole lot. Steven's family, on the other hand, has, though. It depends on the recipe for me as to if I enjoy the collard greens, but my husband, he was very confident in his collard green making abilities, and of course we had the proper supervision from Yo-Yo. How does she get up there? She jumps. She's part flying squirrel. And he made some absolutely amazing collard greens, which did truly start our family on a collard green obsession. With our first harvest of the squash and zucchini, we made kebabs by adding deer meat that Steven's uncle's neighbor had given us. And we roasted them out over a fire in our backyard, and just we're so thankful for the life that we have. And then came the peak of summer. We had so much daylight and heat and rain. The garden was growing so much. We had more than what we knew what to do with sometimes. It was wonderful to be able to harvest everything, and then also see some buds of the eggplant, which was going to take a while to grow. But the cucumbers were coming in, the tomatoes were coming in, the mint and the lemon balm were growing like nobody's business, and we had so much of it. The peppers continued to do really well. The squash and zucchini kind of trailed off when it got really hot, but the tomatoes were going strong, and I really do enjoy just a good old tomato sandwich. We put the tomatoes and the peppers on burgers when we were grilling out, and we do thankfully also live fairly close to a lake that we can grill at, and it's just, again, we're so thankful for the life that we have. It is just so wonderful to appreciate the small things like good food and good company and just a good place to live.
The peppers and the tomatoes are absolutely loving this hot weather. Everything else is kind of slowed down and growing. The squash and zucchini, they're not doing as great as they were. The cucumbers kind of have stalled. We have these things called Duro spiders here now, and they're everywhere. So if you see me like walk into something, it's probably a Duro spider web. They're huge. They're everywhere. Thankfully, they don't bite people, but they're kind of scary looking. But yeah, look at these. I just had so many tomatoes the other day. I harvested like 5, and I'll already see like another one that's ready to come out. We have no idea what to do with so many of these peppers that we didn't mean to plant, but we've been giving them to people, and they seem to really enjoy that. I got a giant eggplant here, just one eggplant. And Steven thinks that we need to leave it till it turns white. I ain't so sure about that, but we're experimenting. We've never done eggplant before. Oh, got another one. Another pepper.
The peppers were going so strong that we ended up pickling some and putting them in cans and jars and vinegar. And then here are the Duro spiders. So the Duro spiders are an invasive species, and believe it or not, they're actually not as bad as they were a few years ago. Oh yeah. So the Duro spiders were first found in the US and Georgia in 2014, lucky us, and now they can be spotted all over the Southeast. But enough about them and the nightmares that they caused me. Let's go back to the eggplant that is finally ready to harvest. So after doing some investigation on the internet, I realized I did not need to wait until the eggplant turned entirely white. It was ready to be harvested as it is. And also, some more greens were harvested as well. Now, what was I going to do with the eggplant? Well, there's some options, but really the only option was to make eggplant parmesan. This is the first time I've ever tried doing it, and I was so excited by the results. And just knowing that I used an eggplant from my garden, that I was using parsley and basil from my garden, I was just like so ecstatic to be able to make this for my family, and it tasted really, really good, if I may say so myself. As summer drew to a close and autumn approached, the garden slowed down. We harvested the little last bits of the chamomile flowers and the lemon balm, which has been with me for 2 whole years now, and it's still going strong. And then it was time to harvest the Brussels sprouts. So I had never grown Brussels sprouts before, and I didn't realize until I had already planted them that they are more of a cold weather item. Thankfully, they survived our hot summer into the autumn, where I was then able to harvest them and then bake them to go with one of our meals. I was concerned that they might be a little bit too bitter because I had planted them at the wrong time, but once they were baked, they were wonderful. Thank you so much for coming along on my gardening journey with me. I really enjoy getting to make these videos, and I hope you enjoy them too. I plan on doing another garden this year for 2024, and I am so excited to see how I can grow as a gardener and how my garden grows as well. I'll hope that you have a wonderful growing season, and I'll see you next time.